Hi guys, for this tutorial I'm going to show you how to cast on to your loom and how to just do the knit loom stitch. So we are trying to make tree sleeves or cozies that can go either on a tree trunk or tree limbs, or we might even put these onto light poles or parking meter poles. Okay, so I need them in all sizes, so it doesn't matter what size loom you have, you're just going to apply the same principle. I'll be using two different colors, so I'm using a light blue and then a little bit darker blue. And it's a good idea to use two yarn threads at the same time because it will be a better thickness. So if you just use one, it'll be okay, but it'll have a lot of space in between the stitches. So you're going to start out with a slip knot, and you'll do that by wrapping the yarn around your finger like this, or however you want to do it to make a loop like that. Then take the end, either side, whichever one is on top, you'll take that yarn around the back of that loop, like so, and then you're going to just lift that bit out into another loop while pulling down on the two sides, and that's a slip knot. So you're going to go ahead and put that little slip knot loop over top of your anchor peg. So that's this guy right here. Okay, so once you have your slip knot on your anchor peg, you're just going to pull on one side, and remember we're counting both yarn threads as one. Okay, so just imagine these two together are considered one yarn strand. Okay, once you have this securely tightened onto your anchor, we're going to go ahead and do what's called the E-wrap. It's very simple, and if you've ever drawn a letter E in cursive, you'll know exactly why they call it an E-wrap. So you're going to take the yarn and take it in between, so behind the two pegs, into the inner circle, and you're going to bring it back around the front of this peg just to the right, and then you're going to wrap it around the front of the peg and then back to the inside of the inner circle again. Okay, so it'll look like that. Okay, so then you're going to come around to the next peg to the right and do the same thing. And you can kind of see it's like a letter E, a cursive letter E, so they're all connected. And we're just going to continue to do that all the way around. Okay, and the more you practice, the easier it gets. So here I'm at the last peg right before I get to my anchor peg again. I like to do something that just helps it to be a little more secure, and instead of just wrapping it the same direction, I like twist it one more time so that it's kind of a little bit more, secure on there. I'm going to go ahead and hold on to that. And now you can, if you want, tie it onto the anchor peg if you just want both your hands free, but I feel fine just holding on to it. Now I'm going to push all of these E-wraps down towards the base of the peg. And it doesn't have to be all the way at the bottom, but you just want to make room for the second row. Okay, so now I've pushed those down to the base. So now I'm going to take that working yarn and go back the other direction. We want to make sure that we don't connect the yarn from here to here. Now you would do that if you were making a hat or, you know, some kind of a tube like a sock or something like that, but we need it to open on one side so that we can wrap it around the pole or the tree and then stitch it up the side, because there would be no way to put it over and slide it on because all the branches or whatever would get in the way. So what we're going to do at this point is we're going to go ahead and wrap this same peg and go back the other direction. So again, on the very end pegs, and I don't think you have to, but for me, I like to have them look like separate loops. I just twist that knot. So again, let me just show you how I do that. So the E-wrap, you would just wrap it around like that, but then it just kind of looks like a spiral. So what I do instead is I just make a loop at the top and I spin it around. So you can see there's no really one right way, and I've never seen anyone do this, it's just what I do. And it just makes it look like a separate loop, so it doesn't just look like a spiral. And you know, it makes it confusing where the loop is if it's just spiraling up, you know. So I have it now like this. It looks like two separate loops. And now I'm going to continue to E-wrap back around the other way. Now, one important thing to remember is that the round part of the wrap should be in the front, and then where the yarn is connecting to the next peg is in the back, on the inside of the circle. So you can see here on the inside of the circle, that's where the straight part of the yarn is connecting over to the other peg, okay? So, and you wrap it tight, but you don't want it so tight that it's, you know, difficult to pull over the top. So just wrap it around like a normal tightness. You don't need to put muscle into it or anything. And you just want to go around. And like I said, I actually do hold it up like this even when I'm not recording with a video camera. Okay, so I'm going to keep wrapping. So I'm just recording this on my iPad, and I have the iPad sitting on something up above where I'm working, and I just press record. So it's looking down. So you can even set your phone or video camera you're using up on a window sill or on a countertop. If you have like a bar stool counter, it's like a little higher than other counters. And then you can like pull a chair up and sit underneath of the camera. Okay, so here I'm at the last peg again near my anchor peg. And like I told you before, I just like to take that loop off of there and I just twist it like that so that when I put it on there, I can really see that it's a separate loop. Alright, so now I'm still just holding on to this working yarn, but I'm going to secure it now with my first stitch. So I'm going to take my loom tool, just like a little pick. It's also called a loom pick. And just see this groove in the front of the peg? You just put that pick underneath of the bottom loop and lift it up. If I made it too tight, I have to kind of pull, and you want to lift it up and over the peg. Now once you do that, your yarn is kind of locked in, it's secure. Okay, so now I'm going to go all the way around and do the same thing. The next ones aren't as tight. You can see it's easily going up and over. And you just drop it over the other side. And that's pretty much it. And you're just going to keep doing that. So I'm going to show you one whole row. I'm going to show you how I go to the next row. And then I'm going to show you how I change colors. So you don't have to know how to crochet. You don't need to know how to knit. You just need to know how to wrap the yarn around the peg in this certain way. And then lift the loop lower loop, up and over. And with 2 strands of yarn acting as one, it makes a nice thick garment. It also creates a brighter, more vibrant color, because otherwise there's so many spaces in between the stitches that you lose a little bit of that vibrancy, because you're seeing a lot of the whatever surface you're wrapping it on to. Okay, so here we are back again at the beginning. Okay, so if you look on the inside, you can see that it looks like there's something cool happening, some kind of pattern. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and come over here to our working yarn, and I'm gonna just hold that down here. And now I'm gonna go back and do what I did before, and that is just push all these down towards the base. So it's important to do this so you have some room at the top for your next row of E-wraps. So I'm going to keep on bringing these down. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and cast on my second row. On this very first peg, like I said, I like to twist it once so that it makes a nice loop there and looks like a separate loop. And then just keep in mind that the round part of the wrap goes in the front, and the connecting yarn that goes to the next one is straight across the back. So I'm going to go all the way around once again. Go, it just pops off like doodle-doodle. It's not hard to put back again, but it's frustrating. Keep a hold of the last one if you're gonna let go. This last one, I can put an E-wrap, looks fine right there like that, and I'm just gonna hold on to it and lift this one up and over, up and over, and I'm just gonna continue around like that. You don't have to hold on to that working yarn anymore. I like to put it around through these two where that space is at, so that I don't accidentally catch it underneath one of my stitches, and that way it kind of stays out of the way. Again, we're creating a pattern, so it really is the definition of pattern is a repeating element. Okay, here I am at the last one, and you can see the two right here, the two different loops, but sometimes they get close together, and so I'm going to go ahead and push them down again, and you just keep doing this over and over. So for this next row though, I'm going to show you how to change colors. So I'm going to go ahead and push all these down, and then I'm going to change the color. So you can see on the inside it's starting to create a pretty cool pattern, but it's not like hanging down yet, so you can't see the whole thing. But I'm going to go ahead and change colors just so you can see how to do that. My next two colors, I'm choosing white and pink. I'm going to go ahead and take this little knot off of here. You can just take it off easily with your little pick. Okay, so now I'm going to line these two ends up and make a slip knot. So you're just going to take this new color, you're going to go ahead and put this onto your anchor peg. And I'm just going to, this one you could actually cut it, but you don't want to cut it close here, it'll unravel. So you want to leave it longer, and you can cut it, but I'm going to bring this color right back in a couple of rows. So I think I'm just going to leave it connected for now. So I'm going to start with this new color. So you're just gonna do the E-wrap, and again with this first one and the last one, I like to twist it so that it's a little more, looks like a separate loop. And then I'm making sure that the round part of the loop is in the front, and the straight part that goes back and connects to the next loop is in the back. I'm just gonna go around and make E-wraps around all of these pegs. It's fun to have stripes, and this project that we're making looks great if there's stripes. So really have fun with your different colors. Okay, so I'm on the last one, and I'm just gonna take that loop off. That I just feels more loop-like. All right, so now I have this working yarn here. It's a good idea to just bring it around and put it down in between where you're not connecting, so that it's there next to your anchor peg. And I still want to hold on to it a little bit until I secure this stitch. So I'm going to do that by lifting up this bottom one, up and over, up and over, up and over. And I have just successfully changed colors. So I'll go around one more time before I upload this video so that you can see how I'm doing it. Again, it doesn't matter if you're using a large loom or a small loom, you're just going to fill all the pegs and make sure that when you get to that anchor peg that you stop right there and you go back in the opposite direction. So the casting off is something that you'll do at the end after you get some length. You want to get some length on this, and the longer you can make it, the better. As you know, trees are kind of tall. If you have the small loom, totally fine too, because I need all different sizes of these tubes, open-sided tubes, if you will. Okay, so now I'm ready to go again. I want to continue with the pink, and a little later I could pick back up with the blue because it's still here. You can cut this, and you're going to leave these strands hanging loose because those are going to help us in the end. I'll show you how to tie those together. You just leave them hanging loose now, but later before we finish the project, the two colors that you just switched, you'll end up tying those together on the edges, and then I'll use those to sort of tie the edges to the outside of whatever we're installing it on. I would really love it if you guys had several feet of this hanging down because, as you know, trees are kind of tall. Okay, so here I'm starting the next row, and there's my E-wrap, but I'm gonna again twist it and put that on. We need to make a lot of work in a short amount of time, so this one, it's just faster if we can just do the knit stitch, which is just up and over the same way every time. Okay, so I'm on my last one. I'm just gonna hold this one down so it doesn't come off, and then I'm just gonna twist this one around, and I'll hold on to it while I secure it by lifting over the top. Okay, so now I just go back around, lifting these lower ones up over the top of the peg and dropping it in the back. So it's pretty fun and straightforward, and if you ever do drop a stitch or something comes undone, you can just kind of work backwards and see what it was supposed to do, and it's pretty easy to fix. You just have to kind of think about it and think about what it was supposed to do. So it's important when you're following a new technique on YouTube to pause, like use the power of pause, because it will really help you if you can pause that video, do what you just watched them do or what you just watched me do, and then pause it and you do the same, and then when you start it again, it's right where you left off and you're ready to do that next step. Okay, so I'm pushing these down all the way around, and you can see here in the back it's starting to look like something interesting. You can see that stripe, that other color. Pretty soon it'll start hanging down. It goes pretty fast. I mean, just in a few minutes I've already made this much progress, which is pretty cool. And it looks so even and professional because these pegs are evenly spaced. All right, so now I can do another row of pink, or I could bring in the blue row again. So let's try that, let's see. So if I'm gonna bring in the blue row, put these on the side. I can just lift up this two blue yarn strands and make my E-wrap. Like I told you before, I like to twist it. So whenever you get to that end peg near the anchor peg, you just go back the opposite direction. So it's sort of like the difference between a hoodie that's a pullover and a hoodie that is a zip up the front type of hoodie. Because on trees and light poles, there's no way we're going to be able to pull a tube that's connected all the way around. There's no way we're going to be able to pull it over the top of all the tree branches. And the light poles, even if we could pull it over, it's too tall. And we're not going to try to climb up there. So this is just a better strategy. Okay, we're already at the end. Alright, so now I am ready to secure this by putting my tool underneath, lifting it over, and I am on my way to putting in that new stripe. So you can even do another color, just the same way that I did before. I would suggest making maybe your stripes a little bit thicker, but you can decide how many you want. You can make them, how many rows you want in each color, and you can even just kind of make them random. If you make them regular, where you know, okay, I'm going to do 2 rows of blue, and then 3 rows of pink, and 2 rows of blue, 3 rows of pink, and then I'll do 5 rows of yellow, or something like that. If you know and you want to write that down, you can make another one just like it, and then we could actually connect them together to go around some of the larger tree trunks that this won't fit around. Some of the tree trunks are much bigger around than this. This might be good size for a branch, so it's a good idea to, keep track of. You can even look at it later and just count the rows, but if you keep track of them and you have a regular, especially if you have a regular consistent pattern of stripes, then we can connect those two together and make it go around the base of some of the larger tree trunks. So I would really appreciate it if some of you wanted to do that. I would really appreciate it because I need a lot of coverage. So now you can actually pull this down a little bit and look and see. Now right at this point it's really stretched out. Once it comes down, it's like getting longer and coming out. You're really gonna see that it comes together, and you don't even see these little spaces. Right now it's really stretched out, but it's gonna look awesome. I'll do one more row of blue, just so you can see one more row, but I think you pretty much have everything you need to know at this point. I wish it was easy to just pull them all down, but it doesn't really work. So, you know, you can kind of do a couple at a time this way from the inside. But if you get them too tight, some of them don't want to pull down easily, and then you really need to put a little pressure on both sides. Okay. I'm going to go ahead with the blue, so I'll find the blue working yarn. And one more time, I'm going to make the E-wrap. And I'm going to take, since it's the first peg, I'm going to just twist it. Wrap. You can see it's pretty straightforward. And I'm already near the end again. So if you have a smaller one, it's going to go even faster. So if you just hold this down, if you don't want to do the twist like I do, it still works just fine, as you can see. I'm just going to bring that down into the center like that. And lift again all the way around. So have fun with the colors. If you need more colors or you need more yarn, let me know, because I need you guys to be super productive and make a lot.